This presentation focuses on one of the deadliest structural failures of the 20th century, the Sampoong Department Store collapse in Seoul, South Korea, in 1995. In less than 20 seconds, a five-story shopping complex crumbled into rubble, claiming over 500 lives and injuring more than 1,000. This was not merely a failure of concrete and steel, but also a failure of oversight, ethics, and responsibility. The collapse serves as a sobering reminder of what happens when safety is compromised for convenience or profit. Through this case study, we will examine the engineering, managerial, and ethical factors that led to the disaster, its devastating human impact, and the critical lessons it provides for building safer, more resilient infrastructure. The Sampoong Department Store was one of the largest retail centers in Seoul, South Korea, opening in 1990. It symbolized the country's rapid economic growth during the 1980s and 1990s, attracting thousands of shoppers daily. However, the building had a problematic start. It was originally designed as a residential-cum-office complex, not a department store. During construction, the developers altered the design significantly without adequate structural redesign. These early compromises laid the foundation for a disaster. By 1995, the store was thriving, but its structural integrity had already been severely weakened. The collapse stemmed from fundamental design and construction flaws. To create more retail space, load-bearing support columns were removed to install escalators, leaving the structure under-supported. A fifth floor was later added to house restaurants, along with massive air conditioning units, further overloading the roof slab. Worse, the concrete used was of poor quality, and the steel reinforcement was inadequate. These modifications increased dead loads and concentrated stresses far beyond what the original design could handle. Essentially, the building was a ticking time bomb. In the months and weeks leading up to June 1995, several warning signs emerged. Deep cracks appeared in the floor slabs and walls. Tenants and employees reported disturbing creaks and noises. On the day of the collapse, the cracks widened dramatically, and loud popping sounds echoed across the building. Engineers on site recommended evacuation, but store management refused, fearing loss of revenue from closing. Instead, they moved heavy rooftop air conditioners to fix the problem, a decision that made the already overloaded roof slab even more unstable. The warnings were there, but they were ignored. On June 29, 1995, at 5:57 p.m., disaster struck. Shoppers filled the store during peak hours when the roof of the south wing suddenly gave way. Within 20 seconds, the entire section collapsed in a progressive pancake fashion. Concrete slabs and debris crushed everything beneath. More than 500 people died, and nearly 1,000 were injured. Many trapped under the rubble for days. Rescue operations stretched into weeks, involving firefighters, police, and military forces. The event became one of the deadliest peacetime building collapses in modern history. This disaster was caused by a deadly combination of factors: structural alterations that ignored basic engineering principles, use of poor-quality construction materials, overloading the structure with additional floors and equipment, ignoring visible warning signs. But beyond engineering, there was a profound human factor: greed and negligence. Safety recommendations were disregarded in favor of keeping the store open for business. Regulatory oversight was weak, allowing shortcuts and non-compliance. The result was catastrophic. After the collapse, investigations revealed widespread negligence. The building's chairman, Lee Jun, and several executives were convicted of manslaughter and negligence. Engineers and government officials were also held accountable. South Korea was shaken. This was not just a structural failure, but a national trauma. Families of victims demanded justice, and the public outcry led to sweeping reforms in building safety codes and inspection systems. It also sparked a national conversation about corporate responsibility, corruption, and the ethics of profit-driven decision-making. The lessons from Sampoong are clear and timeless. First, safety must never be compromised for profit. Second, structural changes must be supported by engineering review and compliance with codes. Third, early warning signs, cracks, noises, excessive deflection, must be taken seriously. And finally, engineers have an ethical duty to act in the interest of public safety, even under pressure from clients or management. The collapse became a case study in engineering ethics, taught around the world. Globally, the Sampoong collapse highlighted the dangers of rapid urbanization without adequate regulation. Many developing nations experienced similar growth pressures in the late 20th century, often accompanied by lax enforcement of safety codes. The tragedy reinforced the importance of independent oversight, transparent construction practices, and strict adherence to design principles. It also underlined the need for engineers to advocate for safety, even when facing opposition. The event influenced not only South Korea's regulations, but also international best practices in structural design and inspection. The Sampoong Department Store collapse was a preventable disaster. It reminds us that engineering is not just about structures, it is about protecting lives. Every choice, from design to materials to maintenance, carries consequences. As civil engineers, we must uphold ethics, prioritize safety, and commit to building resilient, sustainable infrastructure. The tragedy teaches us that when these principles are ignored, the cost is measured in human lives.